Okay, hello, welcome to a new video. I don't know why I'm attempting this, but I am attempting this. I'm gonna try to film a little review for One Piece Season 1, the live action. I just finished it and I need to talk about this. So I'm doing it. Some notes before I share my excitement really, more than a review than anything else, is that I only read 9 volumes of One Piece. I read the 3 first collections, so volume 1 to 9. I couldn't get 10 to 12 in time, so I knew that it was going to cover more when I finished volume 9. I didn't realize that it was until I finished it, and I was sitting there like, dang. And then I didn't want to stop in the 7th episode because I hadn't read all the way through. So yeah, I kind of, I guess, spoiled myself, but I also knew that's what was going to happen in a way, because it followed a pattern. At the same time, they changed a lot of the details in fights, so I'm kind of not spoiled, because the fight would probably go down very differently in the manga. A lot of other details were added that apparently doesn't come later, so I was spoiled for that too, because I haven't reached that far in the manga. I never watched the anime. I don't have any connection to it. Obviously I've seen some photos, but I never watched it. I watched this live action in English because I didn't have any connection to the Japanese voice actors. I do really want to rewatch it in Japanese, and I do now really want to watch the anime, because now I want to see the fights that I've been reading in these, if they play out in the same way, because in live action it did not. I thought overall that it looked amazing. I think that they did such a great job of capturing the story that I so far has gotten into, and I cried. I cried. I got very emotionally attached. It has one of my favorite tropes of all time, where we have a found family, and I love it so deeply. And I cried. This is me finishing the show in the last scenes, and it just got to me so deeply, and I love it even more now. It's just making me want to continue. It's making me want to read the manga ASAP and watch the anime and everything. And I also think that if you never watched or read One Piece before, I think it's a great introduction to the characters. It kept so much of the core story and so many of the details, while obviously other details were changed. And I think that if you watch this, you will feel very positive and start loving these characters as well. It captures so much of the soul for me as a noob and new fan of the show. I think it captured so many parts that I have so far enjoyed. Honestly, it was done so well, and I'm very, very excited and happy. It's now one of my new favorite things overall, since I literally just started it. I don't know why I keep pulling this up. My heart can't take it. I want more now. I sound very, very positive, and I am. I would give the rating of the show an 8 out of 10. I think that I honestly really loved it, and if it continues being this way, it might turn into my favorite show of all time, maybe. Who knows? But there is a few things holding me back for loving it completely. I will mention now is, first of all, it was less fights with Luffy than we see in the manga, and I get that his fights are more expensive because you need special effects for him. We got a lot of great Zoro fights. Sorry, I was just thinking about Zoro and I died inside. But I just kind of felt like he was a bit more passive because he couldn't always engage in these huge fights. And his fights felt very small compared to how we have seen him so far in the manga. I feel like he had more moves and more stuff he did. And I missed seeing even more of his abilities. But on the other hand, now that we're holding a bit back, maybe having, a bit of a lower budget because it is the first season, if we are renewed for a second one, we will have a bigger budget to make him fight even more, and then he will I guess learn more moves as we go, as we also saw in the show, and that therefore have more wiggle room to surprise the audience with bigger moves. Because while in the manga in the beginning we don't actually know all these moves, you just kind of do them, and then we are surprised every time he does a new one, and I feel we can keep that in the spirit in the show as well. But I kind of missed him, I guess, doing more. It felt a bit almost sidelined sometimes, and I wish that we could have a bit more of it, but it's not it was terrible because of this. I also watched the English version, as I said, so I felt some of the stuff felt a bit Americanized overall. I don't know if it's because of the lines or the writing or how they were delivered, but I also know that this goes out to the mainstream now, you know. Not that One Piece is not over the mainstream, but it is, you know, an anime and a manga. Not everyone would watch that or read that, even though they should. But because of this, I felt like some things were very nurtured down, you know. They're very idiots in the manga. There's very like, I was gonna say, not one-shot lines. That sounds a bit extreme, but like, they have much more idiocy sides, and a lot of things were cuts, like Luffy taking naps in the middle of the ground, and like, so actually kind of, I was gonna say he's very stone-faced and like very him, but it has more like stupid lines in the manga so far, and I feel like they toned that down as well. Example, a bit of the quirkiness in the manga were removed to make it more like flow more natural and be a more natural story, and I guess it's not just because it was Americanized, as I like to call it, but also just made into live action where maybe these things would feel too odd because they now look like real people. But I noticed it a bit, and it was a bit like, it wasn't that it was bad, it was just, I could almost see idiocy in them, but I wanted them to sometimes be even more idiots. Like, we didn't get Luffy just trying to catch a bird in the sky and fall down in the middle of a city. And obviously I get why, but it was a bit like, that level of idiocy that the characters have were missing a bit for me. And yeah, Dan, just Zoro is my favorite character ever. I love him so much. I am a simp, okay? He is very attractive man. Actually, they are all so attractive. I just couldn't stop looking at them. They're also pretty. Obviously, people in the world are being cast in these shows because they are of a conventional beauty that exists in this world, but I can't help it. They were so attracted, all of them, and I'm a simp now. And I was already simping for Zoro, but this is just, I cannot deal. There's just something, every time there's a swordsman nearby, I cannot help to fall deeply. And everyone was just my heart. I couldn't deal. But Zoro and his scenes, that's all I got to say. And it is just the best family in the world. I didn't even know when I started this that we were going to have 5 people in the crew. And I got it in now. I got it, okay? And I got it in the show. And I know now. And it's just funny that how little I knew. And now I am not an expert by any means, but I am in love, okay? Also, Hawkeye, just saying, he was also a very attractive man that I want to see more of. And I love how like the fights in the manga felt like huge, like they were flying around, and here was like very small compared to it, like just kind of the blow upness of like some of the certain fight scenes, etc., that were changed a lot. I felt like we made a lot of the fights smaller because we couldn't like go big every time in a way. And now I'm thinking about it, if you're going to the Grand Line, and obviously I know that that's what's gonna happen in the manga as well, but I'm like, but in the Grand Line there's just more pirates and more islands. And we're already struggling here, guys. And I'm not even sure we're going straight to the Grand Line. So I get why it's so long. But it's just so endless possibilities of what can happen. And my heart cannot. My heart cannot. In the end, when we got up our flag, it's not really a spoiler, I was in tears because the family was such a family. And they all made their promises. And it had all my heart, okay? I loved it a lot. And I'm so happy that I enjoyed it so much. And I want more. I need more in my life. And that's what I got to say. Now, I have a few like spoilery things that happened that I want to like mention as a person of where I am now in the manga. So like, if you don't want any spoilers of what happens in the manga or what happens in the show if you haven't watched it yet, it's not like spoiler as in plot, but I mean a bit, but it's just like stuff that they changed that I don't know if you want to know. So I'm gonna end it here for like non-spoilery, and you can leave and I'm gonna chat more. First of all, the flashbacks done exactly like in the manga, and the flashbacks is what has got me very deeply so far. I cried when Shanks gave the sword to Luffy. I cried with the Seth's eaten foot. I didn't actually cry with Nami's flashback in this one. I cried when Nami asked for help because that scene was done perfectly. The help scene, amazing. What I have like a tiny complaint about is that I feel like everyone got the whole like storyline in their flashback while Usopp just had his mother dying. And I guess it's like that in the manga as well, but I just wish we got to see like more of his character. And we cut Usopp's pirates gang, which is like, you could just cast 3 kids that was his friends. He was just all alone. And I feel like that made us have a smaller emotional connection to Usopp compared to the other characters. And I feel like that was unfair. Because when he had to say goodbye to his pirate crew in the manga, I cried. Or like at least got teary. Because I was just like, oh my god, this is like so sweet. And like, it really showed that how he had inspired these 3 small kids. And I cut that part out completely, and I like personally like feel like we should have had that so we felt a bigger emotional connection to him. He just got a random like romance with Kaya instead, and I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess he kind of like had a small thing in the manga, but not as shown in the show. Also, Kobe had his whole storyline. Kobe was there for every single episode, and he did this. He had like one face throughout the whole show, and he kind of annoyed the crap out of me. I like Kobe in the manga, but I was just like, why are we here? Why is Peppo here? And then we had the dude, Garp, who is Luffy's grandfather. And that is now kind of spoiled for me, because obviously that has not happened yet. So if you decided, like me, to read, I mean, a few more volumes that I did, like 11 volumes or something, and you haven't gotten so far into it, you would also be spoiled for who Luffy's grandfather is. So that was great. I know that this is a storyline to show, like, I guess both sides as the show goes on. Like, obviously they did this to show the audience, like, another side and etc. It makes sense within the boundaries of the show. But now I'm spoiled for that, so that was great. I feel like it was done well, and I was interested in Garp. But I was just not interested in Kobe, and I was just like, I don't care about you. At this point, like, I was done with him in the manga in, like, what, volume 2, volume 3, I don't even remember exactly what volume. So I don't need you. I thought he was going to join the crew in the beginning, and then he didn't. I got some gay vibes as well from Kobe and Hippo, whatever his name is. It was just not me that picked that up. I was just like, are they gonna kiss? If they had started to kiss, I would have screamed. And in the end, when Garf, whatever his name is, finally got Luffy, just let him go. Also, he was super strong. And I'm like, where does these abilities come from? I want to know. I guess that's also a spoiler. But obviously, he got owned. And then he was just like, okay, you didn't change your mind, bye. And I was like, what? After all this is what we get? And I was just, I got it. But it was just a bit funny. I don't know if that's how it plays out in the manga or whatever. But it was just very funny. I already mentioned the fights. But I just want to say that we didn't get Don Craig. Hawkeye dude took care of him really quickly. We saw him for like 0.1 second. And I was just thinking like, oh my god, he's not coming. But they did feed his comrade or whatever, second in command dude that I now cannot recall the name of. Got that part. So is Don Craig alive? Are we gonna see him? I don't know. But like, I get kind of why we didn't have that fight, because we introduced Arlong instead. And that's fine. So it's like, as a person who's not as attached to like something that I've been watching for like 20 years, I don't know how much other people would care about that part being cut. But for me, I was just like, it was a really great and fun fight to watch in the manga or read in the manga. But I understand why they did it. So like, it was fine. I still had like the main core story. We also got to see Shanks. That is presumed missing where I am now. He was just on a random island being drunk. And then Hawkeye said like, oh, how far you've fallen. And the Shanks was like, I could still take you. And I was like, has he actually fallen? I don't know. But when Luffy got his wanted poster, he was so happy. I cried as well. I'm apparently just a crier over One Piece. I don't usually cry, by the way, that much. I just get emotional apparently to One Piece. I'm just emotionally attached. And everyone, like, you saw all the characters that we had met, and everyone was kind of saying goodbye to them and goodbye to this story arc. It was so emotional. I don't know, again, if that happens in the manga. So it's like, it's interesting for me since I haven't actually finished the arc yet. And then watching this, and then now I will compare it to like, how did they change it? But that's what I did this whole time anyway. The wanted poster, the best thing. They're just accumulating enemies being stupid. We saw a lot of Buggy that I didn't think we would. But he's maybe working with Avida in the end. And we saw him again. He was there a lot. And I was just like, oh, that was also another change. He just had his head. And he was kind of annoying. Like, he wasn't like, felt more threatened by him in the manga. He was just kind of a clown, but I guess that's kind of the point. Also, in the end, when they all made their promise with their feet on the keg, and they all like had their dreams. Again, I felt that Usopp, like, I just want to be a great sea warrior. I felt like he didn't really have a dream like the others. And I feel like the others had like very clear motivations, but he's so like, I don't know. He's a great character. I just felt like he was done a bit cheaply compared to the others. I don't really know how it is in like the manga and like how his character play out. And obviously we get a lot of character involvement. He's a bit like scared now, etc. He's me. But I'm just like, I felt there was some unbalance there where like he felt a bit different than the others. I guess I don't really have anything more. That's the few things I want to talk about. So wrap up is that I love Zoro a lot. I love them all. I think it looked great. I think it was done amazingly. I also, this is just my perspective of like how little I read and how little I come into the story. For people being there for a really, really long time, probably have very different thoughts and emotions. But I've seen generally positive ones, which makes me really happy. I'm very excited to see more and what will come of it. And yeah, that's my quick thoughts. I hope you have enjoyed. I don't really have more. I probably had more that are now forgotten. But overall, I want to see all the dreams come true. I really want to continue the manga. I have ordered the next ones. They just haven't arrived yet, which is very sad. And I do full reviews of them on my channel, so they will be up when they're up. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Leave a power flag down below if you enjoyed this. And I need to go and get a straw hat. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!